Very excited to be here. I'm actually going to start my presentation with a video. I hope you guys enjoy it.
At LinkedIn, we believe content equals marketing, but we know there's much more to the equation than that. To be successful, you need to be different. You have to be compelling and relevant. But right now, there may be questions surrounding your content marketing. Questions about your content's impact and how to make it most effective could be casting shadows over your strategy. You need something powerful, something beyond the norm. That's why LinkedIn is introducing 2 new resources to quantify your content marketing influence and guide your content strategy. Eradicate uncertainty and enhance relevance with this super powerful tandem. Presenting the dynamic duo, LinkedIn's Content Marketing Score and Trending Content. The Content Marketing Score is a recommendation engine that quantifies your impact by measuring your audience's engagement with your content, benchmarking versus your peer set, and providing recommendations on how to improve. Trending content ranks the topics that resonate most with specific audiences on LinkedIn, so you can tailor your content for maximum relevance. Together, these 2 super-powered resources combine to create a super new quantifiable you, publisher of compelling, relevant content. LinkedIn's dynamic duo, Content Marketing Score and Trending Content.
So that's a video we put together for the launch of our 2, very lighthearted video we put together for the launch of our 2 very serious data tools. So I'm going to spend the next 20 minutes or so talking about those tools and how they can be useful. So first I'll reiterate the point that we are all about content. Like Matt mentioned earlier, people engage 6 times more with our content than they do with our job-related postings on our site. We have 3 million company pages. We have influencers that really drive a lot of engagement on our platform. We have a whole bunch of publishers. We have the opportunity for employees to post, companies to post. We believe that we have all the right sources to help you with your content strategy. Now, what my team has put together is 2 tools that allow you to better measure the impact that you're having with that. And we start off with the Content Marketing Score. Our objective with the Content Marketing Score was to be able to measure the impact or influence that you can have on our platform through your content marketing. If you have a presence on our platform, we have the full reporting and analytics that go with that. Whether it's posting on your company page, whether it's an individual employee posts, we will give you the reports on impressions, views, likes, shares, clicks, etc. What we wanted to answer is aggregate all that data into one metric that will allow you to track over time how well the content is working for you, how well your brand or product or company can be represented on our platform. So we think of it about going beyond reporting. But most importantly, we didn't want to present you with a number, with a metric in a vacuum. We wanted to make sure that we presented that number within the right context. So we're benchmarking that against your peer group, whether it's your direct competitors, whether it's your peers, your other players in your industry or in your vertical. The point is to be able to put your efforts and the impact you're having on our platform benchmarked against a competitive set. And I'll run you through an example in just a second. What we're doing, when we put this score together, we set ourselves to answer some of the big questions that our clients and partners were asking us, but also wanted to get very granular in some of the smaller, more specific questions. So we started out with broad thinking. They always asked us, are people engaging with my content? A very broad question. The Content Marketing Score addresses it directly. If you have a presence on our platform, whether it's through any one of the individual sources, an employee posting, a company page, an influencer, the Content Marketing Score will pick up on that. If you don't have a presence, you'll have a big fat 0, and if you're doing really well, you'll have the highest score. But more importantly, the question our clients asked us was, if I am engaging an audience, am I engaging the right audience? And how well am I doing for that specific audience? So that's where this tool becomes really powerful, because we're putting you in the context of influencing the general 300 million plus LinkedIn members, but more specifically, a subset of those that you want to be engaging with, that you want to be having conversations with. Additionally, we wanted to make sure that we were ranking you against your peers. Like I said, the number in a vacuum doesn't make much sense. It's not very useful. But the minute you know how you rank against other people that are either starting in the content marketing world or are very sophisticated content marketers, it really gives you a sense of how you place yourself, and more importantly, what you can do to improve over time. The last question we try to address that we think is something that's very unique to the LinkedIn platform is, how engaged are my employees? During the development of this tool and some of the pilot projects that we worked on before launching, we learned a lot from some of our clients. And we learned that employees, as a group, can be extremely influential. Getting exposed to content through your network, you're almost 9 times more likely to engage with it. When you aggregate that to a subset of employees, and it doesn't matter how big your company is, we're talking about a subset. You can be 195,000 employee base like an IBM's of the world, or you can have a much smaller presence. It's identifying that core group of individuals that are acting as influencers. When you've identified those users and they're posting compelling content, that engagement level, that influence or that impact that they're having with the broader members on our platform gets reflected in the content marketing score. So we wanted to make sure that the score was a true representation of all the different sources of content that are available to you. So you start with the company page, which is kind of the entry point into our platform. It's your presence on the LinkedIn platform. That's where you can post your content. That's where you can start with putting the content around your brand or company. When you identify the pieces of content that perform really well, we'll give you the opportunity to sponsor that content. So that gives you reach. It allows you to identify the audience that you want to put the compelling content in front of. Additionally, you have your employees posting. Anything that they're posting about the company, we know where they work, so we know that they're part of that influencer group that is a reflection of your company. If you're part of our influencer program, influencers get a lot of traction and a lot of engagement on our platform. So all that activity around that also goes into your content marketing score. And then lastly, groups. If you want to manage a community, we see our groups as the ability to be able to guide conversations on our platform without actively pushing any sort of specific content around that. All the activity that happens around these 5 different sources of content, they all feed into your content marketing score. So we believe that the content marketing score is a true representation of the influence or impact that you're having on the LinkedIn platform. We wanted to be, when we set ourselves to build this tool, we wanted to be very open and transparent about the formula we're using to come up with your score. We don't want it to be a black box. We don't want it to be some weird algorithm that only a data scientist can understand. We want it to be easy to communicate, digestible, repeatable, and for everybody to understand. So we believe we've really achieved that because we have 2 numbers that we're working with. The first one is what we're calling the opportunity. If you think about it, you have the opportunity to engage our entire LinkedIn member base into conversation, active conversations with your content. Realistically, you're more likely to engage a subset of those users. So let's take business decision makers as an example. If we say that there's 12 million of them that you can address, we're going to take that as the opportunity, the base to which you could have conversations with. Then there will be a subset of that group that are the ones that are actually engaging with the content. We're very specific about measuring actions, clicks, likes, shares. We don't want to just count impressions in front of users. We want to make sure that there's a level of engagement. This is a score that is measuring their engagement that you're having with content. The score is a simple ratio between the users that engaged and the active target audience. Active meaning that they come to our platform at least once a month. We're adding a multiplier there because we want to put the number in the whole number range and not work with decimals so that number does not get confused with a click-through rate or an engagement rate. And more importantly, because we want to measure the score over time, and as whole numbers, you can see the traction that you're getting as you become a more sophisticated content marketer. And that's it. That's your score. I'm going to run you through a quick example so you see how we're presenting the results of this tool. So what you see on the screen is basically the output. Consider yourself random client. This is random data. You're client X, and we're telling you that your score is 518. By itself, it doesn't mean much. But when you put it within the context, and we're saying, for the entire LinkedIn audience, you are ranking second amongst your peers. And we selected a random set of good content marketers on our platform, a mix of tech companies, financial companies, just general overall good content marketers. Right away, you see where you stand. You're second among 10. Fantastic. Big pat on your back. Where it becomes a lot more powerful is when you start adding the audience filter. So then we can tell you, we'll recalculate your score for you based on a very specific audience that you want to engage with your brand or company, such as business decision makers. We'll recalculate that score for you and tell you that for that audience, you're ranking 5 out of 10, already putting you within the context of there's room for improvement. The way we like to position this is for every position in ranking that you lose, someone else is engaging that audience. So we wanted to make it a goal for our clients to strive to improve their score over time. And we want to make the right recommendations to allow you to get there. So beyond just presenting your score among your peer group, we want to be able to break down that score for you and help you understand where you're doing well and where there's room for improvement. So we tell you by each one of the 5 different sources how you rank, what percentage of that score is due to each one of the sources, whether it's company updates, employee posts, etc. But more importantly, we compare you against what we're calling the best in class. So that's a great way to help you understand, in this example, that 15% of your score came from company updates. That might be great. But if you want to be truly best in class, you have to make sure you improve that number. On the flip side, we're showing you that for your group activity, in this example, you're doing very well. You're above and beyond what your peer group is doing. So once you start understanding what the different sources are and what you can do, this becomes a true actionable recommendations, actionable insights you can take to make sure that you improve your score over time. If you believe that the score does truly represent the impact or influence that you can have on our network, then we want to make sure that we help you maximize that score. And it really comes down to 3 levers that you have influence on. And we want to make sure that we can provide you the actionable insights for each one of those levers. We start with reach. Reach, when we set out to build this score, we wanted it to be a measure of how far your investment takes you on LinkedIn. In this example, it's your dollar investment. How much you're putting into our platform and what you're getting out of it. And you can do that through our sponsored updates. When you've identified the right content, we encourage you to sponsor your top performing content. And through follower campaigns. Increasing the base of users that follow your company is the ideal way to get more reach, to then have the opportunity over time to be able to engage them organically. That's one lever, and we're very proud that that does reflect that. But it's not the only thing. It's not only about how much money you can throw at this. It's about how you balance the 3 levers. The second lever, equally important, is frequency. So this is a much bigger question. This is something that we're still learning, but we want to explore with each one of you. We want to help you understand what is that right amount, number of posts that you have to put on your page to make sure that you're getting the maximum engagement from your follower base. We know that that number is different for everybody. It'll depend on what you're posting. It'll depend on your brand. It'll depend on who you're trying to engage. There's a lot of factors involved. But what we can do through the content marketing score is show you at what point you're continuing to gain traction and at what point you start getting diminishing returns on your investment. You can talk to your followers once a day, great. Twice a day, even better. 5 times a day, fantastic. But what about 100 times? At some point, you're going to start turning your followers off. So we want to help you explore what that right point is. The second part of frequency is, I'll mention it again, employee posts and the engagement you get from that. So far, through our development phase and our pilot phase, we have not found a downside there yet. It's a very powerful, free way to really have true impact with the audience you want to have conversations with. When you identify that core group of employees that post, you will see that traction you're getting from those pieces of content reflected in the content marketing score. And we have some excellent examples of very good sophisticated content marketers that are in the top 10 list within their category, only leveraging their company posts and their employee posts, basically the organic way. The last point is engagement. So we all know that if you improve your engagement, you're going to have more impact, more people. We strive to get maximum engagement from our audience. We want to help you with that. We want to be the ones that tell you, and I get a lot of questions around this, where it's the quality of your content or the relevance of your content. And I'm okay with both. Like, LinkedIn is not going to be the judge of the quality of your content. But what we can do is help you understand what content works well on our platform. We'll measure and show you the engagement rate you're getting with your content and identify the top pieces that we encourage you to invest in to get more reach. But more importantly, we'll help you understand what type of content in general from the other sophisticated content marketers works well on our platform. And that's why we build a second tool that works really well with the content marketing score. And we're calling it trending content. So I'm going to have one more piece of that. We really want to be able to break down each one of the levers by comparing how you performed on them against the average and against the best in class. So when you see an example like this, right away would tell you the 3 levers you have an opportunity to act on to change your score. On the left side is how you rank. We tell you how the average is doing, and we tell you how the best in class is doing. That's why we're calling this score a recommendation engine, because right out of the bat, you can get true actionable recommendations of what you can do for each one of those levers to make sure that you can improve your score over time. So quickly, I'm going to introduce trending content. So as a broad definition, trending content is a tool that we put together to help guide your content strategy. It's a very broad statement, but what it really comes down to is the ability to leverage 2 of our biggest data assets at LinkedIn. Our audience, we have a very accurate audience. We know who you are, where you work, where you're from, where you live, et cetera, and our content. We know what type of content you're consuming on our platform. Our goal is to be able to help you use those 2 levers to understand over time what content is trending. We have the ability to collect content both in the short term and in the long term. If you think about the short term, it's about the news, the breaking stories, the current events. We capture all that information. And you have the opportunity to react to that and engage your users in conversations around that. But where we really think we have a true differentiator and we have the opportunity to win is in the long term. It's about defining a strategy moving forward. Think about it general from the topic perspective in the finance world. If you want to associate yourself with investment banking, you can select that as a topic, and we will be able to identify the audiences that engage with that topic. Vice versa, if you want to associate your brand or company with a specific audience, such as chief marketing officers, we can let you know what those chief marketing officers are reading on our platform. When you get that content in aggregate, and when you get visibility into the exact pieces of content, down to the actual article that they read, the video that they watched, the blog post that they consumed, you can start getting a sense of the type of content you should be generating that we can tell you is going to engage the audience that you want to have engaging with your brand. I'm going to pass it over to Ben, who's going to give us a more deeper example and give you some specifics around how that works.
Thanks, Walter. So trending content. Can I just have a quick show of hands as to how many people had the opportunity to have a play with trending content just on the booth that we've got out there at the moment? Awesome. Hopefully by the end of this session, you guys will all come over and have a bit of a play around because it's a really cool tool. So whenever I'm explaining trending content to my clients, I like to position it as a tool that enables us at LinkedIn to build out these content preference profiles for an audience when they're in a professional context. And the way in which we're identifying content preference is through observing how our members are interacting socially with content. And specifically for our implementation of trending content, what we're looking at is the sharing of content undertaken by our members on the platform. Because to us, sharing is a pretty powerful social action. It can tell us a lot about content affinity and preference. It's also something that we can track, and it's something that we can measure. So whenever our members share content onto the LinkedIn platform, we capture 3 critical things or elements of that particular interaction and engagement that enable us to tell stories about the content preference of an audience at scale. The first thing we capture or we understand is we know when a member shares a piece of content who that member is. In the context of LinkedIn, when I say who that member is, I'm talking about who are you as a professional. We know what your seniority is, what sort of function you hold within the organization, what are the firmographics of your employer, and so on and so forth. The second thing that we capture are attributes of the content that you're currently sharing onto LinkedIn. So these are things like the source of the content, the title of the article, and other granular details about that specific piece of content that you're introducing into LinkedIn. And the third thing that we capture, and perhaps the least intuitive thing to those outside of the organization, is we have an understanding when content hits LinkedIn of what that content is in relation to on a topic level. We know this because whenever content is shared onto LinkedIn, it's algorithmically bucketed into one or many of 17,000 different topic areas automatically. So we have a very macro level view on the type of content that's entering LinkedIn. Trending content joins these 3 dots together. Trending content lets us understand for a certain type of professional what specific pieces of content are they consuming on LinkedIn, and what most often is that content in relation to on a topic level. This forms the basis of our content preference profiles, and I'm going to show you one of them now. Let's say as a marketer, we're interested in reaching out and engaging financial services professionals in Australia. We ask ourselves, we ask our team the age-old question, what should I publish? What does this audience care about? What's going to be relevant to them? Because I want to connect with them. Leveraging trending content and this intelligence that we have about how and what our members are sharing on LinkedIn, what we're able to do is observing all of the sharing activity that financial services professionals have engaged in over the past month. What has that content most often been in relation to on a topic level? In the past 30 days, we see that FinServ professionals in Australia have most often been sharing content about leadership, financial advisory, rates, real estate, and employee engagement. Now, as a content marketer, you can take these themes, these pillars, and start building content around them. Because these are the topics, these are the themes and subjects that this audience that you're trying to reach out to and engage has a demonstrated affinity with. But in order to make these insights truly actionable, you do need to know one more thing, and that is what is it about these themes and topics that's driving your audience into engaging with this content? What is it about leadership that FinServ professionals in Australia care so much about? We can tap into those granular details through trending content and understand specifically what are the drivers of these trends. What is it about leadership that they care about? We can understand what are the most shared pieces of content by FinServ professionals in Australia about leadership. And that's what we're looking at right here over the past month. Traits of a motivated leader, how to get from good to great, 6 things that will demoralize staff. How do I become a better leader? How do I become better at doing what I do? It's very aspirational and it plays in perfectly to the context of LinkedIn. So what we're looking at here, this is the first lens that we can look through when we're interfacing with trending content. This lens enables us to better understand the content consumption behavior of an audience on our platform so that you can answer the question as a content marketer, what should I publish when I'm trying to reach out to and engage a certain type of professional? The second lens that we can look through kind of flips the script on these insights somewhat. And I'm going to show you what I mean by that. Let's say as a bank, we're a bank. We're a bank with a lot of wealth management content on hand. It might live on a blog, it might live on a hub, wherever it is. As a marketer, we want to better understand what sort of audiences and professionals are going to be receptive to this type of content on social, more specifically on LinkedIn. Leveraging that same data set and intelligence that we have around what our members are sharing and undertaking on the platform by way of content, what we're able to do is isolate and pinpoint audiences and professionals that have signaled to us that they'd have an increased propensity to be engaging with content of a certain topic. Put another way, what we're able to do is understand which audiences are more likely than the average Australian member to have shared content related to wealth management. And that's what we're looking at here over the past month. Institutional investors, financial advisors, expats, business decision makers, and business travelers. These audiences were all more likely than the average Australian to have shared wealth management content. Now, some of these audiences are going to be intuitive. Investors, advisors, even business decision makers. These guys make sense. But the real value proposition, as far as I can see, when we're looking through this secondary lens over trending content, is the ability to surface segments like expats and business travelers. Because these are the types of professionals that are affluent in their own right, that may not have come up over the course of brainstorming. These aren't intuitive segments when you're thinking about wealth management content. So this lens enables us at LinkedIn to work very consultatively with you so that we can surface these segments and inform your targeting strategy. And those two lenses, that's trending content. So to quickly recap, trending content, this is a tool that enables us to build out content preference profiles for your audience on LinkedIn. So that as a content marketer, you can answer two critical questions. What should I publish? And who should I target with my content?